All right, we're going to be making a title block today for our AutoCAD drawing exercises. And a title block can either be oriented where the information runs along vertically, or it could also be oriented horizontally. But either way, it's going to give you information about the name of the drawing, who did the drawing, the date it was drawn. It could also have revision information, scale, a company logo, could have notes, include customer address, the business address of who's making the drawing, and so on and so on. They can be very detailed. But for our purposes, we've got these drawings that need to have a title block so that um, they are identified as being your drawing. So we're going to presume that all of our drawings are on 8.5 by 11 paper. In reality, you probably won't be doing anything on that size paper, but for this practice, it is just fine for us to use that. So with 8.5 11 paper in mind, and I'm using the template that we already made. So I have my layers here. I already have um, my text and dimensions set to be annotative, and I'm going to work on my object layer starting with a rectangle that is going to start at 0, 0. So I can hunt around and try to click right on the origin there, but I'm never going to be precise, especially to 4 decimal places. So I'm just going to type in 0, hit the tab key, 0, right? So that is where it's starting, and it is just a sheet of paper. So that means 11 and a half, or no, 11 by 8.5. All right. All right, so there's my paper. I'm going to, the first thing, do an offset of 1/4 of an inch. So set this at 0.25. And now select the rectangle, offset it to the inside. All right, next step. We're going to make space at the bottom for us to write our name, the date, and the title of the drawing. So get into the line tool, and I have my object snap tracking showing me an extension. So it's showing like how far away I am from my last snap point. And I'm just going to type in a 1. So that line is automatically starting 1 inch above this corner right here. All right, and we're just going to take that all the way across. And because I have polar tracking on, it is snapping to the horizontal. Next, we'll start line command again, and I'm going to track it along, and we are going to make um, the next line at 3.5, right? And come straight down. Okay, get the offset tool, and we are going to offset this 3.5. All right, so I have 3.5 inches for each of these sections on my title block to put my name, the date, the name of the drawing. Okay, so next task is to get our text tool. All right, and I'm going to place my text, and it wants to know how big my text is going to be, staying in all caps, typing my name. Okay, close. All right, the next thing I want to do is box for the date. Okay, and repeat that command. Um, And now this is, okay, let's say this is exercise 1. Okay. So I have these 3 items in place here. I can still move them around if I choose, okay? And they're not perfectly lined up, so that might be something I should fix. I would never, for a customer or any professional context, not have my lines be straight. So let's just say um, we're going to go ahead and make a construction line. A construction line is a line that goes infinitely along an axis. You can access it under the draw panel, hit the down arrow, and if you select the icon that has arrows in both directions, then and it gives you the explanation when you hover, excuse me, your cursor creates a line of infinite length. You could also make a ray. So that's a line that starts at a point and continues infinitely. Either one of these is fine. We'll turn them off or delete them in the end. So it's nothing that we are going to keep. Okay, so what I want is I want a line that's going to be at the midpoint. So I'm going to go to my object snaps and go to midpoint and place this construction line. I need to get some kind of reference so I can line up my text. And I'm going to make my text 1/4 of an inch tall. So I actually need this line to be higher than where it currently is. Um, and if my text is 1/4 of an inch, then from the midpoint, the top of my text is going to have to be offset from where I currently am, 0.125. 0.125 is half of 1/4. So just this is the object we're offsetting, bring that up to the top there. All right. So now that I have this in place, if I click on, I'm going to zoom in a little bit so you guys can see better. So if I click on my name, I'm going to use this grip and just slide it down till it snaps. Also, I have my properties panel anchored on the left side of my screen because this is something I use all the time. I like being able to see that. And so I've adjusted the height of my text. So I'm going to do the same thing with the other 2 fields that I have here. So this text, it doesn't matter what order you do them in. Oh, yeah, I have both of them selected. Okay, here we go. So just selecting the text and change the height of this one, 0.25, hit enter, and then get this blue grip and move it down, let it snap onto my construction line. So I'm going to have all of these the same height and they're all going to be aligned. Okay, so same thing. Let's change this 0.25 and move this down so it snaps onto my, oh, whoops, we don't want that. Okay, let's try that one again. Okay. It just does not want to snap on this line for whatever reasoning here. I don't, there we go. Okay, got it. All right, so we have our text, and I could probably tweak this a little bit and try to center them more. So just slide this over some. Um, let's see, I think moving my name over a little bit too. Okay, I like that better. Right, so I switch over to my object layer and you can't be on a layer that you're turning off. So now I can turn the construction layer off so I'm not going to see it. There we go. Okay, so that's gone. So this is the part where we are going to turn it into a block so that we can use this over and over again. So in insert. Okay, so click on insert, and we have some block options here. This is if we were going to insert a block, but for our purposes, we want to create a block. Okay, so you can create it from a drawing you've already done, or you can write a block. I usually am just creating it. Okay, and this is my um, title block for exercises 1 through 18. All right. Um, so we are going to specify on our screen what we are converting to a block. We are also going to specify on screen where the base point is, and this will be our insertion point. Okay. I usually leave it on so that I can explode it. And now I'm just going to click on OK. All right, so the first thing it wants to know, and I'm just reading the directions from AutoCAD now, it says specify the insertion base point, and that's going to be over here at 0, 0. Okay, the next thing it's asking is to select the objects. So I'm just going to get my selection box and pick everything and hit enter. All right, so I've turned this into a block. The next thing I need to do is save the file that I made this block in, because until I save the file, I can't use it. So we're going to click on save, and we'll call this block file. Okay, so now that I've made this a title block, when I close it, now I can come over to this AutoCAD drawing, and I have a title block that I can put in here. I'm going to delete this and get it out of the way. And now I'm going to go to Insert, Recent Blocks. Okay, let's see. It's not showing up. Okay, why aren't you showing up? All right, let's go back over here. And I'm just going to open that file. And now let's see. Are you going to show up? Of course, it worked when I was practicing this. Okay. All right. We will not be thwarted by anything. Okay. Edit the block definition. I don't want to edit it. I'd like to actually use it. Okay, hold on. All right, well, sometimes these things happen. I'm not going to be worried about it. So I'm just going to click on my block. I should have been able to insert it from here, but that's not working. So I'm just going to right click and put it to my clipboard. I don't need to copy it with a base point because it already has one. And then I can come over to this drawing, and from my clipboard I can paste it as a block. Actually, let's do this. Might be easier. Let's paste it to original coordinates. Oh, so close, but not quite. All right, let's go ahead and move this thing because it needs to be right here at the corner of my paper. So for whatever reason, it just doesn't want to be right at the corner. Okay. All right. So now we have it at the corner. And now if I want to insert my drawing, I can go over to my Layout tab um, and click on Rectangle. And I can put my rectangle right there, and my drawing just pops into place. So that ideally is how you want to do all of your title blocks. When you are ready to change the date or you change the exercise, um, you're just going to edit the block. So we can right click on this and go to edit block in place. Okay, it is, there we go. All right, and so now we can go ahead and edit the text right here. Um, so when it's time to do drawing 2, you would just hit 2. If you need to change the date, you can do the exact same thing here to change that as well. And you can see when you're in the block editor that your drawing is grayed out, and until you finish editing your block, um, that will stay grayed out. Okay, so you can say save changes and click OK, and there we go. All right, that is the end of this tutorial for making a title block.